Hello, welcome back to Math Time with Professor Prime, and I'm your host as always, Professor Prime. Let's talk about math and Like a Dragon Ishin. So, Like a Dragon Ishin is a spin-off of the Like a Dragon series, aka Yakuza if you're in the States, right? And originally it came out in 2014 in Japan. No one else really got it for a while, but then they re-released it in 2023, which at the time of the recording is 2 years ago, which is baffling to me. It feels like it was yesterday. In any case, they re-released it worldwide in the HD version, and they had some upgrades and everything. And so how the video is going to go is I'm going to talk about Like a Dragon Ishin. I'm going to talk about how math is used throughout it, focusing in on the gameplay, and then leading it into other areas as we go. And what I'm talking about here is going to be like the tip of the iceberg because there's so much to that game. And there's math behind the scenes and on the surface, and it's a lot. So, but I do plan to give you all an idea of things, and you can take it from there. With that in mind, like spoilers ahead, I really won't be talking about like the story too heavily. But if you wanted to be cautious, feel free to. So assume spoilers ahead. Let's get into this proper. So with Like a Dragon Ishin, it's an action RPG, and with that, like RPGs to me, they're a fascinating thing because first and foremost, right, gaming is something that's inherently mathematical, as is everything. But I feel like with RPGs, it is like so easy to point out the math to people, right? Because there's always going to be a lot of math behind the scenes, right? But with RPGs, there's a lot on the surface, and that's cool. And so when it comes to Like a Dragon Ishin, you're playing as Ryoma, and the basic idea is like to navigate the story, right? Like you're winning battles, gaining experience points, going on quests and side quests, things along those lines. So let's start with the combat and kind of branch out. There's a skill tree in this game, and we'll get to that too. Okay, so I was thinking it because the branch out, which you probably figured out, but we'll go, we'll get into it further. Oh man. Okay, so when it comes to the basic ideas of combat in this game, it's the same with a lot of other games. Like you're starting at 100% health. You're trying to maintain your health, trying to not reach 0%. You're trying to dish out damage to your opponents, and if you should take damage, you're trying to either recover from it or nullify it. Reduce it, whatever the case may be. But ideally, not take it at all, right? Like so with that, right, that very basic premise, it's something that's inherently mathematical, right? And then it branches out tremendously from there for this game. So in the game, the way it works is you have four different styles, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But you're switching between your styles throughout combat, and you're dishing out damage and gaining experience points, and people drop weapons, equipment, and all that stuff, and different items. So you have that on the base level, which is cool, right? And then it's like, so with the styles, how does that work? So actually, let me back it up a bit. So you have the idea that you're out there and you're attacking, right? And then you could also evade, or you can block, and you can build up heat. And the idea of heat is like you're doing combos, you're not taking hits, and you're building up the heat to do special attacks, right? Like or to do finishers. And all that is math, right? Math and like the math in the idea of attacking, but also math in the combinations that you're doing. I could have just said combos. I don't know. It's been a day. Roll with it with me. So you're doing a different like amount of combos, right? Or combination of attacks, and there's math in those combos themselves. They're the timings, switching in between the styles, which we'll get to in a second. And also in evading, so you're not taking damage, that way, like moving out of the way, and then maybe using that as an advantage to like come at your opponent. And there's also, math and the idea of guarding, because you're not taking damage or not taking as much damage, but you have to be careful because some people can break through your guard, right? And in both cases of evasion and guarding, you can use it as an opportunity to launch a counterattack, right? So there's math in this idea of attacking and trying to avoid damage, but there's layers to it, right? Because like, hey, you could be avoiding damage and actively moving out of the way and launching a counterattack that way, or you could be guarding, not taking damage or not taking as much damage, and then try to do your counterattack from that more direct standpoint. Or if your timing is good, you can parry, right? And so you have math on those base levels, but then when you add in the styles, that's where things get up another level too, because each of these styles, they have different strengths and different weaknesses. And outside of the idea that hey, well, maybe this one's stronger, maybe this one's faster, which is all part of it and all math, you have the idea that you're also dealing with range, right? In addition to like those ideas of strength and speed, right? Because you have like the swordsman style, right? Where you're wielding a katana, and you're going with that, and it's close range, but it doesn't have to be directly in your face, but you still have to be pretty close range, right? But it's dishing out a decent amount of damage, and you got some good blocking capabilities, and so there's that. There's a swordsman style. There's also like the brawler style where you don't have any weapons and it's pretty strong, but you're more vulnerable. So you have to be kind of like quick with it, hard hitting, and be able to like evade or counter. And it's like built around that idea, but take some finesse. Then you have like the gunsman, and with that, you have sorry, you're better at long range combat, um, and you're trying to not get hit, and you may not have that same strength as the other ones, or at least you might take more damage at closer range. So you have to be careful with that. But like you can get some different types of ammo as you progress. Like you get some like fire ammo, thunder ammo, acid or poison, things like that, and they all have different effects. And then there's also like the Wild Dancer, which combines. Well, it doesn't combine the styles of swordsman and gunsman, but it does combine the like idea of using like a katana and the gun, right? So it combines those two weapons, and it's pretty fluid. If you can get a combo going, it's like it feels pretty fluid. If you get interrupted, you can bounce back pretty quickly, but it's like not great for blocking, for instance. And so you have like these different types of styles, which they may be better to use in this situation or that situation, and they all have their strengths, their weaknesses, and where they're more effective at, like range wise, right? And there's so many other things to that. And then with these um, orbs, they can be powered up as you're powered up, because like, okay, so you're gaining experience through combat, you're gaining it through quests and side quests and just so many different ways in this game. And as you're gaining experience points, you're leveling up, and there's math in that too, and your stats are improving, right? You're able to be faster and stronger and able to better defend yourself. But it's not just you leveling up, you can level up your styles, because as you're going right, and as you're doing those quests and side quests, or doing like training in different dojos, you're gaining different orbs, right? You're gaining orbs for the styles, or general training orbs, and these orbs can be used to power up those styles. And okay, with those styles, and if you're using your orbs on them, not only are they powering up in terms of stats, right? um, you're also able to gain new abilities and just be more versatile as you go on. And so as you're getting stronger and you're fighting this opponent and that opponent, you're progressing through the story and getting even stronger through those fights. So you have that loop going. And then there's the idea of items, right? So you get different items, have different power-ups, different effects, and a major one is like, just general healing, right? And so with these items, right, you could buy different food items directly. You could also have the different ingredients that compose the food, and you can make different dishes. You can plant different vegetables, and use those in your dishes, or catch fish and use those in your dishes. But the whole thing is, right, you're collecting. Um, and you're able to form like better and better dishes and get different recipes and things along those lines. And so that's pretty cool because like, right, you're getting money, you're getting experience from all of it, and the game is keeping track of everything that you're doing mission wise, and on that idea of farming. And so it gets pretty cool because there's a whole lot of item sorry, there's math and items, but math and the resource management of those items. There's a whole lot of resource management going on in this game. Um, because, right, just on that base level, getting items to help you out in battle, that's one thing, right? And that's cool because there's math and items, collecting them, what they do in the inventory, but then they can be expanded to make even better items, right? Like, as I mentioned, like, right, you can fish, you can plant seeds, you can farm, and so you can help yourself out in battle by building better and better stuff. But you also have side hustles, right? Because if you're planning this or planning that, making this dish, that dish, you can sell it out because like there's a period in the game where Ryoma he meets this girl, she's sick, and he takes care of her debts, and then they kind of form a business partnership, and you can farm and take care of people's requests and stuff like that. And so it's like not only does that help you in terms of getting better, items, but it gives you more money, more experience points, and then there's the idea of virtue throughout the game, right? Throughout the game, right? Doing quests, doing side quests, helping people out. That all builds up virtue, which you can use to boost yourself throughout the game, right? And so there's a lot going on at just that base level. There's an absurd amount of mini games. Um, there's just so much that you could talk about. But to kind of wrap up the combat, you have that idea of attacking and dishing out damage while trying to not take it. In terms of the attack, it's like you got four styles that can be powered up. You have different weapons that come with each of those styles and different advantages to those styles. And then on top of that, you're gaining equipment, different weapons through defeating your opponents, and they have like drops, right? And you gain those, but you also have different accessories and stuff like that that boost your stats or help you negate this effect or that effect, or give your weapons this effect or that effect. And so you have it being built up, so you're dishing out damage, you're trying to avoid it, like whether it's through evasion, whether it's through guarding, but you're trying to avoid that damage, right? Or trying to launch counterattacks, so you're dishing out damage, trying not to take it. You're getting better equipment, better weapons, powering up those equipments, right? Like because you have the idea that there's a blacksmith and like you're powering up your weapons. And so you're collecting, and everything serves a purpose because you're improving your weapons and your equipment, or you're constructing items that are gonna items and like making dishes that'll help you out in battle, or that could be used to like fulfill requests, which are still going to ultimately help you out in battle because you're building up your experience, and your virtue and all that good stuff. And with virtue can be used to also like purchase different abilities right throughout the game. And so you have this idea of growing in a bunch of crazy ways, and everything that you're doing throughout the game is helping you grow, and you're navigating the story as you go, and just like getting very immersed in the game, right? And there's just so many other things that you could talk about. So, right, because like there's math and everything that I just said, but also like the mini games, math and the programming, the world design, everything. So I could keep on going on, but I'm gonna just talk about how I viewed the game as a whole. I had a good time with Like a Dragon Ishin. I played it for like 250 hours, which is insane, and I know that because it keeps track of everything. In addition to all of your stats and what you're doing in the game, it's keeping track of your how long you've been playing it. In addition to that, and I played it a lot and for several months, because it's very immersive and it was enjoyable enough to continue. And it was wild because like everything I mentioned. It makes for a compelling experience. There were parts of the story that I really liked and parts of it that I didn't. So what I really like though is like the game is steeped in Japanese culture and very inspired by Japanese history, right? And it shows. It's very proud of that, and so I like that. And our main character though, Ryoma. There are parts of him that work and parts of him that don't, because there are some things where he's just stubborn and he's doing something for a code or because he can't do this or won't do that. Um, and so there are points where that's annoying, or like the villains will win momentarily for some dumb reason, and it's like, while that is frustrating, overall the story is enjoyable, and it's a compelling tale, and it's fascinating. Um, and I got to the story bit by bit because there was so much to do on the side. So yeah, like a Dragon Machine, that was an interesting experience for me. I did like that game a lot, um, flaws and all, right? Yeah. So I'll see you in the future.